From Wish TV, All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics. Focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Good morning and welcome to All Indiana Politics. I'm Garrett Bergquist in for Phil Sanchez. Indiana Democrats now have a contested race for Attorney General. Beth White announced on Thursday she will seek the party's nomination at its convention this summer. I talked to her about her decision to run and her goals if elected. Let's bring in Beth White. Beth, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
So why are you running for Attorney General?
Yeah, I am motivated to enter this race because I believe the people of Indiana deserve an Attorney General who is thinking about them, what they need, what their needs are. The Attorney General, of course, is the highest lawyer in the state, highest law enforcement officer of the state. And I believe that the current Attorney General has lost his way in the focus. I have more than 30 years experience as a lawyer. I have spent almost all of that time in the public sector, the not-for-profit sector, thinking about vulnerable people, thinking about children, victims of crime, thinking about voters. I spent 8 years as the clerk of Marion County. I love that work because it really was focused on making sure people could engage with their government. And it was a great privilege to serve. And when I was done with that in 2014, I ran for Secretary of State, and I really wanted to continue working the advocacy and other interests that I had been working toward for the people of Indiana. That didn't work out. So in the last 6 or 8 years, I've been doing other things, including serving Mayor Hogsett and then now running the Indiana Coalition to End Sexual Assault and Human Trafficking. What I know about the state of Indiana is it's full of really good people, and those good people deserve a government that is serving them.
You've said your priorities include going after sex traffickers and child predators. In practice, how would you do that?
I fear that currently our Attorney General is not as collaborative as he needs to be in order to serve the people of Indiana. So collaboration with other organizations at every level of government, making sure that people are educated. Parents are the first line of defense to protect our children. I am a parent, and I know so many people whose children could be vulnerable. And they're vulnerable because their parents really don't know and understand how social media is working. What are the ways in which we can protect our children? And I believe that the Attorney General needs to take a leadership role. I believe the Attorney General needs to be the voice in the state of Indiana for protecting our children, equipping parents, equipping educators, coaches, pastors, band directors. Everyone who interacts with children needs to be equipped to understand what's at risk and how to help children. And I am somewhat uniquely situated with my entire experience to be that voice and to step into that leadership role. And I just don't think our current Attorney General is taking that as seriously as he needs to.
Would you pursue any enforcement actions against social media companies such as TikTok or Instagram as the current Attorney General has done?
I haven't currently taken a position on that. I want to investigate more about how that would work. I believe that other states are kind of tipping a toe in the water of those kinds of enforcement actions. I need to educate myself a little bit better. I have a teenager in my house. He utilizes social media in a way that I don't personally. But what I do know is that the Attorney General needs to equip families and parents to understand how it works. I think there is a place for legal action against some of the media providers, but I also think that there are other things that we can do. And I really feel like filing a lawsuit or joining on to a lawsuit is really just kind of in some ways a cop-out. It is not the silver bullet that we need. In order to protect children, we need to equip parents, coaches, teachers, others to be more involved and to understand better how young people are using social media.
You've criticized Indiana's abortion ban, which is facing several lawsuits. The Attorney General's duties include representing the state in legal cases where the state is a party. Would you defend the state's abortion laws in court, absent any changes from state lawmakers?
I believe that women and their healthcare providers ought to make decisions about their reproductive rights. I was very active in my current role on behalf of the Indiana Coalition to End Sexual Assault and Human Trafficking in the abortion debate. We fought hard to make sure that there were exceptions for rape and incest. We do have those exceptions that are, in my opinion, not long enough and not a meaningful remedy. But I don't need the Attorney General at my kitchen table making decisions for my family and for me. I, as a woman, can make my own health care decisions, and I believe strongly in that. But I also understand that the Attorney General has a role to play in defending laws that are passed by the legislature. But I would not go after doctors who are performing procedures that are perfectly legal and helping patients access health care that they need. That is overreach, and it has to stop.
How do you plan to win statewide office as a Democrat in a deep red state?
Well, there's no question that it's uphill. But our two-party system is designed to, when it's working properly, to be an exchange of ideas. And I believe that the people of Indiana deserve a robust exchange of ideas. When we have one party in particular, as you said, a deep red state, that is dominating the political environment in our state, we are not serving the people. We are not giving them the options that they deserve. The people of Indiana deserve a robust debate on things like reproductive care, on things like protecting our children. They deserve a robust debate about that, about how we do it, how we appropriately do it, what is the role of the Attorney General, what is the focus the Attorney General ought to have. And currently, I don't think we're getting that kind of robust debate. I want to provide that. I want to work as hard as a human can work in the next 9 to 10 months to make sure that I am a part of that debate. There's no question that it's uphill, but I can do hard things. I was clerk of Marion County for 8 years. We ran 14 elections, more elections than anybody else in the history of the state of Indiana. And it is a privilege to serve, as I said, and it's also a privilege to be a part of this conversation. Again, the people of Indiana deserve a conversation that is robust and constructive and focused on them. And that's what I'm going to provide in this race.
There's already one other Democrat in this race so far, and there's still time for more to enter. What sets you apart?
My experience absolutely sets me apart. Again, a robust exchange of ideas is a good thing, and we're going to have that on the Democratic Party side as well. But I am an experienced leader. I have had the opportunity to lead in the elected setting, in the appointed setting through 2 governors and 2 mayors. I was a deputy prosecutor in the courtroom defending the interest of victims. I've spent the last 2 years working on behalf of sexual violence victims. I am ready day one to come into the office and to lead in a way that the people of Indiana deserve. And that is not to say that the other people in this race are not good people with good ideas. They certainly are. But what sets me apart is my experience and my ability to lead. I've done it, and I can do it again.
Beth White, thank you for joining us.
It's great to be with you.
Coming up, a key seat in the Indiana House is up for grabs. We meet one of the hopefuls next. Welcome back. Democrats this year hope to flip a state House seat in Hamilton County. Longtime Republican Representative Jerry Torr is leaving the legislature after 28 years. His seat covers portions of Carmel and Westfield. Democrat Matt McNally will make another attempt to flip that seat. He lost to Torr last year. Our Phil Sanchez recently talked with McNally about his decision to run.
Matt McNally, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You look great, by the way.
I like your tie.
We got the memo. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, we were talking off camera. For folks who maybe don't know about you, give them a little background.
I'm a retired military officer. I served 22 years in the military. 18 of that was in the Navy, and 4 years of that was in the Air National Guard. And I retired last June.
Okay, and now how's the campaign going? I know this is new to you, right? So how's it been? It is.
I did run last year. Got into the race late, but the support was phenomenal from the beginning. We just had a lot of energy. Very close race, even considering the fact that I only had about 3.5 months to campaign, and we haven't stopped. I've just been been out in the community continuing to serve.
This is a tough district for Democrats, but it seems like you said it was closer last time around. So how do you plan on winning this time?
I believe it really is about meeting the voters, resonating with the voters, going door to door, talking to them, finding out what issues matter to them.
Yeah. So why do you want to do this?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I served this country for 22 years, and it really boils down to me wanting to continue to serve my community.
That's a good answer. Thank you for your service. No, seriously. I do appreciate that. The honesty is fantastic. So when you look at from a greater perspective, or even from a smaller perspective from your community, what are some of the issues that resonate with you and that you think you can be good at? So me personally, veterans issues in the state. We have one of the highest rates of veteran suicide. We have the highest rate of veteran suicide in the Midwest, and I think that we could be doing more. Another concern of mine is women's health care, and in particular breast cancer and breast cancer imagery and things like that. Right now, we do not have any legislation to help women where their breast cancer cannot be detected through mammograms. Right. We don't have any requirements for doctors to have a secondary image. And my wife is a breast cancer survivor, so that is a particular issue that's important to me. Yeah, no doubt. And so are those your two most important ones? I would say personally, those are my two most important. I think at the district level, a lot of it really boils down to individual liberty and individual freedom, and some of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years at the state legislature. I believe that when I talk to voters, they see what's happening. Our voters are smart, and they see that the issues that are happening in the State House aren't necessarily aligned with what they want to see. Okay. What are some of the issues, though, in Carmel and Westfield district? I would say, aside from those, I would say a big one is public education. Yeah. We have great schools. Most of the people who move to Westfield and Carmel move there because of the excellent schools, and so we want to continue to see excellent schools, support of our teachers. I don't think a lot of people are aware that Indiana teachers are paid less than all of the surrounding states. Right. And we have a very significant teacher shortage. And so I think we need to improve teacher pay in the state as well. Yeah. Another issue is wage growth. Indiana is one of the lowest states for wage growth. I believe a lot of that can be attributed to a lot of the anti-union legislation we've seen over the last 10 years as well. Right. So. I know you have a young family, so what do they have to say about all this? It's they're excited. My daughter is 15 years old, and I think she understands fully that I'm really doing this for her future in the state of Indiana. I want, just like most Hoosier parents want, to see their kids come back, to see their kids graduate college, return to Indiana, and we're seeing some of the effects of children graduating, moving on, and we need to create an environment, create a state where our kids want to come back, and they can come back, and they have the opportunity to come back. I have about 30 seconds left. What do you want the voters and the viewers to know more? Maybe something you haven't said yet. I really just want to continue to serve. I really believe that one of the important things of being a legislator is listening to your constituents and being open and having the willingness to have those conversations with your constituents and working on behalf of them. Matt McNally, thanks so much for joining us. Again, great tie. Thanks for having me. We look forward to having future conversations with you as well. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Coming up, Indiana's best political team looks ahead to New Hampshire and talks some major developments at the State House. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in two members of Indiana's best political team, Democrat Ariel Brandy and Republican Whitley Yates. Let's begin with Beth White's announcement she will seek the nomination for Attorney General. Ariel, this gives Democrats two candidates with some level of name recognition. How would you rate her and Destiny Wells' chances at the state party convention this summer?
I think it's going to make for a very exciting convention for us to have two really great, well-qualified candidates that are going to be running for this role. And I also think that it's going to be telling to see where the party lands on this. You have someone like Beth White, who has been around the Democratic Party for a while now. She has some of the older guard contingent of the Democratic Party. And Destiny Wells has been one of the upcoming and rising folks within the party, where she has the support of young people, too. So I'm honestly very excited about this, to have two strong women who are going to be running for this role. And I think it's going to make for a great convention for us. And I think Todd Rokita should definitely be on the lookout for a seat.
And that leads me into my question for you, Whitley. If Todd Rokita is the nominee, as we think he very likely will be, which of those two candidates poses the bigger threat in November?
I think that they equally pose absolutely no threat to the Attorney General at all. It doesn't matter if they have one candidate, two candidates, three candidates more. He is not going anywhere because he has provided and performed for Hoosiers time and time again. And so I find it interesting that Beth is running after Destiny has already made her announcement, which is indicative that Beth doesn't think that Destiny is the leader necessary to really change that office or the change in which she sees. So I find that to be interesting. There could be some splintering between the younger progressives and more of the old guard in the Democratic Party. But really, I don't think either one of them have any chance at winning or even coming close to being able to do anything close to being able to, beat Todd Rokita.
Well, speaking of wargaming elections, let's turn to the New Hampshire primary on Tuesday. Some polls now show Nikki Haley tied with Donald Trump in that state. Ron DeSantis, meanwhile, is in the single digits. Whitley, DeSantis barely beat Nikki Haley in Iowa despite spending far more time and money there. If the results in New Hampshire match the polls like they did in Iowa, is there a chance DeSantis drops out?
I don't think that he'll drop out post New Hampshire, even if he does not perform well, because I think DeSantis is hoping, wishing, and praying that Donald Trump will be removed off the ballot, and then it'll only be him versus Haley, which I think he will be able to strategically take her down. After these polls come out, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but there have been many attacks against Haley in her family life and some personal things that have happened to her or with her within her marriage. And I think that they're starting to see that she's a threat. They're outspending her. She's performing better. And I think with DeSantis, he limped past her in Iowa, and I think she may be running past him in New Hampshire.
Ariel, new polls show President Biden's ratings continuing to drop. How worried should Democrats be about a potential Biden-Trump rematch in November and that rematch potentially not going the way they hope it would?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that obviously we all know the polling is polling. We don't know if it's always going to stick or not. But I will say President Biden has been able to deliver for the American people. And I think it's very telling in the fact that here in Indiana, we've been able to see some of the great benefits of some of the legislation that Congress has been able to get passed that has been able to help people here in our state. And so honestly, for me, I'm not really concerned in that way when it comes to New Hampshire and Joe Biden. I know he's going to come out on top, and he's going to continue to rise as we go through this presidential election. So curious to see what happens on the GOP side. But honestly, we all should be looking at what is happening between Trump and Nikki Haley for sure.
Let's return to state politics. We got about a minute 45 to go. A Senate committee on Thursday discussed a measure to temporarily block construction of Indianapolis's Blue Line. There's also a measure to get rid of the special downtown taxing district lawmakers approved last year. Ariel, could bills like these discourage cities and towns from trying local solutions to local problems?
I think that this bill is definitely going to have a tremendous impact on the future of transit in the state of Indiana. I mean, you look at the testimony that came from my very own state senator, David Nitzkowski, when it comes to talking about how transit has transformed here in South Bend when it comes to the South Shore. If a bill like this was to be able to be, not happen and for us to not have these types of transit bills in the state of Indiana, I think it does deeply impact the progressiveness and looking at how cities can transform in this way. We need to make sure that our cities are safer and that pedestrians also have their own rights and are able to see those transformations happen in their cities. So yes, I do see this definitely having an impact, not only just in Indy, but statewide.
Whitley, I've got a little less than a minute left. Republicans have long cast themselves as the party of local control. Do these actions in the General Assembly undermine that?
I wouldn't say that, honestly. I think that when it comes to the public transportation and some of the issues that has been had, it's because the relationship between Indigo and the General Assembly has been somewhat fractured. But the truth is that access to transportation is not only a right, it's necessary. And so I'm hopeful that all of the factors, meaning the stakeholders that are against the blue line, meaning those that are for the blue line, and others are able to come together and really carve out solutions that work for everyone. That's my hope.
Ariel and Whitley, thank you so much. We will be right back. Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. You can also find our brand new All Indiana Politics podcast as part of the All Indiana Podcast Network at wishtv.com. Have a great rest of your weekend.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.